All right, we are good to go.
How you doing?
Well,
How
look,
you doing?
I'm doing all right. Hey, I knew the coach was coming, so we had to be ready. I'm gonna referee this discussion.
Hut, hut.
Coach, it's good to see you, man. Uh,
Likewise, likewise.
I am excited about this conversation, Coach Cavett. Um, I am first of all grateful you jumped on at the last minute. We Unfortunately, our guest had to cancel. She didn't want to, but she had to, and we really understand that because we appreciate all our guests and the time and opportunity that allow us to talk with them. I called you up. I was racking my brain, like, oh, who can I call? And you came to mind, and I'm glad you found time in your day to join me for this conversation. And
Yes.
so I know we talked briefly on the phone of how we're gonna do this, but that conversation just went from 4 minutes to 8 minutes, 8 minutes to 20 minutes, 20 minutes to. So I want to make sure I don't take up all your time in introduction. So I'm going to let you introduce yourself here quickly. I just want to tell any of our guests, hey, number one, thank you for joining us for the 18th episode of TAT Talks. We really appreciate you finding the time to jump in, to take an hour of your day to join us in conversation, to hear from array of speakers or guests who have interacted with the African think tank so far as being vendors, panelists. I know Coach Cavett was, or coming to our events. That's how we spread the word of what the African think tank is about, because you are de facto spokespeople for TAT. So we appreciate your time to do that. And if you have any questions, we are love questions from individuals who jump online. Put your questions. I will fit them in as coach is sharing, because the questions are really important. They come from you. I just have what I really do is ask two or three open-ended questions to get the conversation rolling, and and the guests have the opportunity to speak openly and without major interruption from me. Maybe coach, because I had to I'm gonna have to rep this one because my conversation with you was like, okay, time out, time out. Where do we got to go with this? But so, Coach, thanks for coming. Let's start with a little bit about you first. I want people to know who you are, your
Okay.
background. I know you have family. Where did you grow up? Where did you spend most of your time? What are some of the things you enjoyed? Let's spend about 5, 6 minutes sharing that.
Okay, absolutely. Well, name is Coach Cavett, and I'm one of these Southern guys who grew up in Jackson, Mississippi, and we call it J Town. And I'll say
Jacob,
that,
yeah.
man, I have 5 brothers and 3 sisters. So I tell people I used to tease with my daddy. I said, Daddy, you all were real busy back in the day to have 9 kids. And he just said, Boy, don't talk to me like that. So I'm a jokester at times and things like that. But just growing up in Jackson, great, and in my mindset, great childhood, just just understanding life. But there were some things that was a little puzzling even in my elementary days, and I'm going to explain that, and then I'm gonna roll into a high school and college and so forth. But I grew up in Jackson on a street called Lockspurt, and
Mhm.
and it was funny because right beside the street there was a trailer park that had a fence, and the weeds and everything had grew around the fence. Now, the black people lived on one side where we have houses, and the trailer park was fenced in with the other folks. And I couldn't understand why it felt like that they were just more empowered than we were, but we were in the houses and they were in the trailers. So it was a little nerve wracking growing up and understanding that. And then from moving from Larkspur Street in Jackson, so if you know that area, it's called Georgetown. We did
Mhm.
everything. When you have 3 big brothers, you learn really not to be afraid of anything. And that's how I
Yeah.
grew up. I learned how
Mhm.
to do things on my own, but naturally by watching them. I learned the good things and the bad things. So I'm one of these guys who said I could have easily made the wrong decision, and like so many others who did, I decided not to take that path,
Okay.
and and I'm thankful for that. And I'll just say this, and then back then something else happened to me, and I'll just tell you this here, and we're going to talk about this later on.
Yep.
Integration, because when I was in the first and second grade in Jackson, I went to what we call Johnson Elementary School, where I could walk to school with my brothers and sisters.
Mm-hmm.
But in the third grade, that's when integration kicked in, and they bused us from where we lived. And to me, in my mind, it took us an hour to get to the other school. And I didn't understand that concept. Why are you busing me? It felt like an hour, but it's probably like 30 minutes. And if I had to look at the drive time now, it's probably more like 35 minutes from my house to the school. And I realized that that was part of the integration process where they wanted to integrate African Americans to the other folks in Jackson. And so my third and fourth grade school were a mixed school, black and whites. And my first and second grade was all black. And then my fifth and sixth grade was a different concept, but I won't go through all that. And went to Baylor Junior High and went to Merle High. And I'll talk about my high school. I am a proud Merle Mustang graduate. And then one thing I tease people that when I was in high school, for some reason, I got suspended about 5 times, but it wasn't my fault. Maybe one was my fault. And the reason why I say that is that I was a popular type person, but it was more like I was book smart as well. So I ended up actually winning a Mississippi Exposition. I got an academic scholarship to go to Jackson State. And then my high school class, I was voted. Now, Ruben, are you sitting down, Ruben? I need you looking at this here because you probably have
I'm sitting down.
Go and Google this and do everything else. And high school,
right,
in high school, I was voted most likely to succeed out of the class of about 300 folks. And so my wife still tells me she's still waiting to see that happen. I said, well, babe, there's people a lot worse off than I am. So, and Ruben, you have been to my house, so you know.
Yeah, I know you did well, man. I've been to your home. So, and I really appreciate it.
And then from Merle, again, and this is what I believe in. When I was in high school, I actually took up industrial electricity because I believe in using my hand and my head. So I could have been an electrician, but I ended up going to college and went to Jackson State University and went there, and then, good grades. And then my junior year, I saw myself graduating. Next year, my GPA shot straight up. So I ended up going to grad school. So I went straight through undergrad and grad. So I was 23 years old with a master's degree. And I moved a week after I finished grad school. I moved to Dallas, Texas 1 week after that and started working in that tech field. So yes, but a lot of great things. And let me mention this too, because I have to mention about the family. Married with 4 children and 4 grands right now. So we got the structure, and all the grands are, except one is in Austin, are in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And are you in business with your wife? You're part of Cavett.
Right. Well, we have several business. In this day and time, we are partnership in one business, but she has several that she does, because in this day, in this economy, I tell people, you need to have, if you have more than one bill, you should have more than one income. And I don't know nobody who only have one bill. So, and especially now, we're going to talk about AI as to that tech world and what people definitely need to do, because I'm actually working on a project now where we do AI training for people who want to become more versed as to how they can create an additional income stream, or just to learn about AI in general. If you don't know what AI, that's artificial intelligence, you have to get engaged in that tech world. And luckily, let me say this, I am a former tech person. So Ruben, I don't know if you want me to go through my background, or do you want to interject right here? So I don't know how you want to move forward right now.
I think if you can interject that in some of the work you do, because I really want to get to the meat of some of the core things we talked about, because that's going to take up some time. And I think it's something that you're very, very passionate about. But if AI fits in some of that conversation,
it will.
To it. I think the second, it just segues as far as a business person. Is that how you got connected with the African think tank? What is your history with TATT?
Well, I'll say this. I was online and I and I saw the posters at the African think tank, and me being the business person I am, I said, you know what? My best college is from Lagos, Africa. And so, and as a matter of fact, we go back since our college days. Neil Simicard, so he lives here in Dallas. So I said, you know what? Let me go and take a look at this organization. And I think it was the second meeting you all had because it was in Richardson off of 75 in one of the buildings someone had up there. And I think it was y'all's second meeting. So I naturally fell in love with the organization, the people and everything else, and so forth. And then I was able to, bring in some other folks to learn more about how we can actually assist in building the African think tank from that perspective. Absolutely. Great organization.
That was about, I think, 2 years ago, a little over 2 years
Yes,
ago.
I mean,
I think it was.
I think it was the second meeting. I think it was so because the meeting transpired there a couple of times, and then naturally it moved to different locations. But I've been plugged in ever since.
All right. So, what has been your experience with the African think tank? What are some of the things that you can share personally that you've found beneficial, and also some of the challenges that you see with the think tank?
But really, I'll just say more beneficial is that I just like people in general. So just me being able to meet some of my brothers and sisters from the motherland and understand that right now, I have contact to the entire continent of Africa. Because if I want to know about any place in Africa, I can call someone or put a message in the African think tank chat and get a response. So just to have that global reach immediately is imperative for me. That's one thing. And then speaking of that, I actually did my African DNA ancestry test, and my folks are from Ghana. So my wife and I will be going to visit our homeland, which is Ghana, a tribe called Akan. And I've done my research, so we got there about 10 million still in Ghana today. So we would be over there, and again, just that mindset of that brothership and everything else. But as far as with the African think tank, to be able to learn from individuals, but also to share, because I tell people it's a two-way street. Is that because the goal is to understand each other, how we all can move forward in unity as one. And at some point, I wrote some information down, which I'm gonna read. This will probably take 5 minutes, or whenever later on, maybe I'll just read it. But it's kind of give an overview as to how I feel about things and how we should be able to progress going forward. But the African think tank is a great organization, and I'll just tell you this: the growth happens so fast, guys. Let me tell you this: there were 5 chapters done like that, and I was part of that process. And I said, guys, y'all need to slow down because it's work involved in bringing on chapters. So if you don't know, the chapters are Houston, Atlanta, Charlotte, and DC, and naturally Dallas, Fort Worth. So there are 5 chapters right now, and I watched the organization just grow. But they had to kind of like, let's do virtual more. Let's put things on pause because you can at some point you can grow too fast because of the bandwidth and the people and the resources. And plus, it costs money and it takes time to be effectively to grow and build a successful organization.
And about that, I think you spoke. We grew really fast as African think tank. Went through those growing pains. Still are going through growing pains. But the founder Sidoni, she talks about delegating work, finding individuals who share the same passion or have their own passions that they can find within the African think tank, and then everybody pulling their weight, doing what they can in different aspects. And I think what the think tank has done really well is that we have pockets that operate individually, but are networked collectively as a corporate. So I really do the African thing. I do the TATT talks. That's really my role. And then you have Culture Bridge operating with leadership there. You have the initiative taking place in Accra, Ghana. So when you go there, we have our chapter there as well. I would say we're all operating individually, but everything we do is cohesive collectively. And so we pull from each other. I think that's one of the strengths of the African think tank and the individuals who are really just, finding, no one gets paid for this. We look for volunteers and try to find individuals. People come and go as they are able or willing or other circumstances. but we always find ourselves, thankfully so, with individuals who want to carry the mantle of the organization. You are definitely one of those individuals. Being a Black American or quote African American, depending on people their choices, is you talked about unity, and so we'll go into that. Why as a Black American should individuals get involved with the African think tank? And then how do you talk about working it both ways? Because that's something that we at the think tank has been coming up, is finding this unity between the Black Americans and Africans. Because there is some tension there, admittedly. Yeah.
Yes, I'll talk about that. And one thing I would say is that there has to be a balance, and naturally, the group need individuals, African Americans, to participate and to provide real value to the organization and to be authentic. Because the goal is not to just to say something, just to say something. It's like, is it real? Is it relevant? But I would say this. I asked a couple of my friends today, as a matter of fact, because I wanted to get the information. It's like, have they ever encountered like any animosity and misunderstanding with an African? If so, why did they think it was that reason? And then one of my friends said, because he has been to Africa about 10 times, he said, Ronnie, he said he think that because the Africans, because let me break something down too for some folks out there. Is that
break it down?
First of all, we have to understand Africa is composed of 54 countries. So if you look at a puzzle, that's 54 pieces of that puzzle. So when people start talking about Africa, there's so many pieces. It could be in Ghana is one part, but somebody else is it could be in Chad where you're from, naturally. So when you start talking about Africa, it's not just one nation, it's a continent, but it's 54 pieces. So you can look at it like the United States of America as like 50, 50 states. So Africa is 54 countries that comprise of the continent of Africa. So when I asked my friend, like, what has been his experience, he said, based off his experience, again, he's been in Africa probably about 10 times. He said he felt like that the African formed him, and he went to a Nigeria and a Zimbabwe several times. He said that he felt like the African only saw the African Americans over here in a positive, like we had everything going on, that we didn't work for stuff, and it was kind of like we were lazy about things, because we know that's not the reality. But he said that's all the people that he knew saw. So there was a little envy that the Africans didn't have what the African Americans have. And I said, what? I said, yeah. He said, so from his perspective, and then this is something else he shared with me. He said that some of the Africans he met felt like that the African Americans were not pure African because of slavery, and the people naturally, people use the terminology, colonization. I use it for what it is. Raped our women, period. Impregnated them, and the different tongue, just a different bloodline. So our bloodline as African Americans are not pure like in Africa. So that was something he shared with me as well. But I'll just say this from my perspective, I really haven't encountered that to my knowledge at all in my entire. Maybe I just didn't see it. Maybe I wasn't looking for it. So I guess I've been one of these guys who know, because if you know my style, I'm more friendly with everybody. I guess people see a different side of me. It's like, if that guy's smiling like that, I give you the shirt off my back if it's not cold. If it's cold, I'm keeping my shirt. I'm telling you that right now, especially this here. And by the way, this came from Africa too. So
tell us about your outfit. Is that an African outfit? African. Did you get it there or?
Yes. Now let me tell you, my friend Art Buckley went to, and he lives in California now. And I asked him the information, so maybe he'll text me to tell you. But he brought this back from Africa for me, and he knew that I wanted it. So
was he in Nigeria?
Right? No. He's an African American. He went to Nairobi. As a matter of fact,
Kenya.
Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Kenya.
yeah. So basically, he has gone there probably about 10 times. He does missionary work there as well. So
Okay.
he's done some great things there, and he's a good friend of mine. He used to live in Dallas. He lives outside of LA now. And I actually text him with this picture of this. And also when I text him, are y'all ready for this here? I'm ready to do something now. I'm ready to do something.
All right.
I'm ready
to
do
whistle,
something.
go
Are
ahead.
you ready? I
ready.
texted him a picture just like me, like this here. I said, hey, and I asked Ruben, I said, do you know who Cool Mo D is? He said, what? He said, that rap. I said, yes. I said, how you like me now?
I like you, man. You are solid, coach. You are solid. And so, we have Stefan Bati, who's from Kenya, who's watching this now. Hey, Stefan, I appreciate it. Make sure your friends ask some questions. If you have any questions of Coach, it'd be a good time to do it now. But you look cool, man. That is nice.
Ruben, I just had to do it for a minute because when I put these on, I just felt like, man, I'm truly like born and bred from the motherland, man. And Cool Mo D, one of the sharpest rappers back in the day, man. So I love that brother.
Awesome.
And when he came out, how you like me now? Woo! Let me take these off because I'm feeling too good. But back to these readers right here. But
back to the readers, The readers right here might have fogged it up a little bit. I may just do the rest of this without it on. But so let's just continue down that because I know you got a lot to share. I really want to talk about this too. You love people. That's something I really have seen about you, and you do this mentorship program at your home. Talk about Nothing But the Brothers. You do that once a year, and you just invite some key people. I've been twice. I really have been grateful for that invitation. But talk a little about Nothing But the Brothers, because it's something you do this once a year.
Yes. And Ruben, by the way, I can't have 20,000 people coming to my house. Okay,
no, let me just say that.
I can't have 20,000 people come to my house. But yes. I host an event once a year at my house. It's called Coach Cavett Nothing But the Brothers event. Yeah. And what we do, the goal is the fellowship among brothers. No ladies allowed. And we named it Coach Cavett Nothing But the Brothers because the girlfriends and the wives know it's not for them. But in the process, we also invite young men aged 15 to 25 to participate because the goal is we want to pass knowledge and information and contacts to the next generation and to teach them things that they may not know. Typical example, I know the last one this year, Ruben, that you were there, we would teach the kids how to clean fish and how to cook fish and how to do that whole process. Well, to me, being from the South, from Jackson, Mississippi, I'm used to cooking. But for some people, they have never actually cooked hot fish straight out the pot. So we took step one. Okay, the fish is clean. Now we have to show them the batter. And so we had the process where we had the mustard with the water mix. So we got the batter and we explained everything to them. I said, that's the reason why we do that. We want the batter to stick to the fish. So when it cooks, it's an even cook. It doesn't enhance the taste. It just gives it that even cook throughout the process. And so, but we also inform them about different things like that whole process. And then, with the potatoes, we did potatoes and stuff. And these kids were looking at me doing this. But guess what I did? I had them to go and wash their hands and to come back here and to cook that fish because this is on-the-job training. So those young men that day left knowing how to fry hot catfish. And being from Jackson, Mississippi, I love hot catfish. And so, but that's the goal. But also, behind the scene is for them to see us sharing information, loving on each other, talking about business, talking about education, just talking about what they should be doing because some of them were in college. We had some young men in college. It's like, that can be trying times for a lot of people. And so no, but that's what we do. And it's more of a fellowship and it is invitation only. So let me tell you this, if I don't like you, you won't get that invitation. I'm just going to tell you. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm just going to tell you. I learned this. When you got 5 brothers and 3 sisters, I'm not tap dancing around nothing. If I don't like you, I'm going to tell you. No, you won't get that invitation. Ruben, I love you, brother. That's why you get an invitation. You got a standing invitation. You got a VIP invitation. And
thank you. And
That's
honestly,
right.
I so appreciate it because I remember being at the last one and seeing those young men really intently watching you do that, and you were explaining to them, and there was such a lesson in that. I just saw this kind of respect, definitely hunger for knowledge. I saw the other gentlemen who were there who are participating. I like the fact that you're bringing them in, young men 15 to 18, and we sponsor that as well. And that to participate, because that's a weight on you. And so there's a sponsorship to sponsor these young men to do that, to put in to put your money where your mouth is. And so I'm already looking forward to next year, because the 2 times I've been, honestly, Coach, I've been blown away just by the brotherhood and meeting individuals who are doing so many different things. And so many, I met a guy in construction, a guy in government, I think a guy in logistics, and grasping those networks. And then you serve as such a, I'm going to do this so we can get into something deeper you want to talk about. You serve as such a bridge again between, again, we'll use the African American community and the African community. And I think that's something you've been I don't say struggling, but trying to find avenues of bringing opportunities of more interaction. So there's nothing but the brothers. I know you've invited me and some individuals from the African think tank, but you're part of what is it? National
Sales Association, NSN.
NSN, National Sales Association. And I know there's a lot of Africans who are part of that. So tell us what the National Sales Association is. And I went to an event and I met definitely some Nigerians, some tall drinks of water, brothers, just like, man, I had that good time. And I think I met a couple of Kenyans there as well and talked to them about the African think tank. But I think that's the way you've been trying to really weave these two communities together.
Absolutely. Well, the National Sales Network is a national organization. There's about like 19 chapters across the country. And I'm one of the guys to say that I'm a proud person to say that we somewhat started the Dallas chapter probably about 24 years ago. So I was a young man doing things. And so, but it's a sales organization. So if you're in sales or account management, that's the organization you want to be a part of, because you instantly have a national presence to learn, to build, to hone in your sales skills in the network with people who've already been in the business. And luckily, I can say this: when the chapter started, like I said, about 23 years ago, I think I was like number 8 as far as membership here in Dallas. So I know the entire history. So when people start talking about things, luckily I can say things from a historical perspective as well. And now let me just something. I'm gonna say this, but then I'm gonna come back. I forgot to mention to you all that I'm a proud Jackson State University graduate, and I was the Jackson State University Dallas-Fort Worth alumni chapter president at the age of 28. Let me just say that. I was a young man in leadership at the age of 28, and I served 4 years, and then I waited 2 more years and went back another 4 years. So I did a total of 8 years. So I'm always used to giving and serving and teaching and growing and learning from others. So I will say this: people taught me what to do. I just want to be a bridge to share it to other folks, because we're only limited on this earth for a certain amount of time. So I just wanted to say that from a leadership perspective. But for NSN, National Sales Network, great organization. You can go on to the website, look for National Sales Network, and get involved and learn from it. And then again, there's like about 19 chapters across the country. Great professional sales organization. Absolutely.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you. Yep.
And Ruben,
yeah,
I know that before we talk about this is what I'm gonna read, and because I mentioned to you earlier, and it's going to segue into what we had talked about earlier.
Well, why don't you go ahead and start reading that, and then let us segue.
Okay. So, the topic here, and I'm gonna read it: shared roots, diverse journey, connecting Africans and African Americans. One thought that comes to mind regarding the theme shared roots, diverse journey, connecting Africans and African Americans is the ideal of unity through understanding. While Africans and African Americans shared ancestors' roots, our culture experience, histories, and identities have evolved differently due to geography, colonization, which is a whole new word, and systematic challenges. The real power lies in acknowledging these differences while celebrating the shared heritage that connect both communities. Bridging the gap through dialogue, culture exchange, and mutual respect can foster a stronger sense of global Black identity and collective empowerment. And we're all going to talk about this from a global perspective, folks. And I would say this is that I'm actually honored here to be with the African think tank and so forth. But the theme shared root diverse journey speaks not only to our common ancestor, but also to the complex, beautiful, and sometimes painful path we've taken as African and African American communities. Now, I'll just say a common heritage and history. Our shared history began in Africa, the cradle of civilization, the continent rich in culture, innovation, and history that dates back thousands of years. Our ancestors can contribute to advancement in mathematics, science, arts, and government long before colonization disrupt these achievements. Through the transatlantic slave trade separated us physically, our shared roots remain deeply embedded in our DNA, our tradition, and even our language, music, and spirituality. Now, the power of our ancestry legacy from ancient empires like the Mali and the great Zimbabwe to symbolize the resilience of our grit and freedom fighters, our roots are strong and endurance. Recognizing shared heritage is essential for healing and unity. I'll just say the African American experience journey has been marked by resilience, centuries of slavery, segregation, and a synthetic injustice. Despite these challenges, Black Americans have shaped the culture, economy, and politics in the United States, contributing to a movement for civil rights, global music, literature, and beyond. And I'll just get a little bit about the African experience based off the information I've gathered. Meanwhile, African nations have faced colonization, which I'll just say rape, rob, murder, steal, exploitation, and struggle for independence, followed by efforts to reclaim identity and foster economic growth. Modern African is a continent of innovation, youth, and potential. The global narrative often overlooks Africa progress in technology, entrepreneurship, and leadership on the world stage. And we'll talk about that from a global perspective as well. But addressing the misunderstanding, at times a divide exists between African and African Americans due to misunderstanding and stereotype. This disconnect often stems from different historical experience and exposed to biased narrative. Bridging this gap starts with empathy, education, and the willingness to engage with each other's stories without judgment. Shared spaces are essential in fostering mutual respect and cultural exchange. We need to explore collaboration in business, arts, education, and activism to create opportunity for unity across the diaspora. And then I just say the last kind of get closer to the end is the movement of, the examples of progress like the movement of Afrobeats global influence, or the increasing number of African American entrepreneurs investing in Africa are signs that the connecting strength can be achieved. The vision of unity, what does true unity look like? It's not erasing our difference, but celebrating them while standing together on one shared foundation. Africa, Africa, Africa. It means creating economic partnership, promoting cultural exchange, and supporting one another in a global struggle for equality and justice. I challenge each of us to foster a spirit of collaboration, whether through mentorship and investment, or simply having open conversation that break down barriers. Learn more about our native continent, Africa. African American buying power is $1.8 trillion. We need to look at investing more of that money into Africa.
Wow.
And the final resolution, our shared roots are powerful, and our diverse journey enrich the global Black experience. Together, we can build a future where every story matters and every connection strengthens the bond of our collective heritage. And that's what I was able to draft up here. But it's about unity, it's about strength, about coming together. And I know I said a lot in those words right there. So I'm glad this is being taped because I'm gonna have to go back and look at it myself.
So what would you say, when you wrote that, what space were you in? Was there a particular situation, or was it just an overall mentality that pushed you to articulate the word you just did?
Well, I
And then
tell
how
you,
does that look? Yeah, go ahead.
let me tell you this. I mentioned to you about AI.
Mm-hmm.
That with the help of AI, Chat GPT, they got a new software package 4.0. So now you can get involved with writing things and get different variables and see which ones you like best. And you can make the
Okay.
modification and adjustments. And that's why we need to talk a little bit about AI for sure. But
Okay.
my thought process is to dialogue about what's important, what's relevant. And even though they put the words there, but there's so much behind it. And then what I'll say about this here, they kept saying global perspective. You notice I got my map. I got Africa. It's
Mm-hmm.
right here. And so I keep that in mind every day. Is that and then the thing I want to share is that when I read this information out and I've understood the words, I said, you know what? We as Black people, globally speaking, because what they have done through slavery, they have strategically placed us globally, where if we actually came together as one, no one could ever defeat us because we are everywhere. And just to give you some stats,
Mm-hmm.
we know that Africa, there's a lot of numbers there, but a lot of people don't know this, is that just Nigeria. I mean, just understand this. The United States have, I think, about like 400 million people. Okay, I think it's 440 something. But with Nigeria, just Nigeria, one country in Africa, got 223 million folks. That's
Yeah.
just one.
Yeah.
That's just one. So when you start, and then just let people know the global South is where the growth is. And so when you start looking at, as far as with the black population, you got uh, Nigeria's number one with over 223 million folks. Ethiopian have over 120 million. Just those two
Mm-hmm.
countries beat out the United States population. Then you got the DRC got another 102. Then Brazil. Brazil is the most populated country for Black folks outside of Africa. There's over 100 million people, Black folks living in Brazil because of slavery. And so, but if you think about it, and then you got the United States, you got places like Haiti,
Mm-hmm.
Peru, Saudi Arabia. I mean, you got the whole Black diaspora everywhere. We came together with all these pockets on one agenda to strengthen
Mm-hmm.
Black people globally. No one could come close to us. And let me tell you why. Because you got the smartest and the brightest people around the world, because that's what they taught us. We know this as being Black, we got to be better than everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why if there's an even playing field and the rules are the same where they can't change the rules, we win every time. And even when we win, they want to change the rules. And to give you a tip example, when Tiger Woods was winning all those golf championships, guess what they did? They changed up the golf course to make it longer for him to hit the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Guess what he learned to do? Hit the ball further. Tennis, the Williams sisters, they were hitting balls 100 some miles an hour. They weren't used to that.
Mm-hmm.
They changed. So whatever they change up everything, and that's why we dominate whatever we do if it's an even playing field. But
Mm-hmm.
because of slavery and they put us around the world, man, it's just power and number. And then for those of you that do not know, Africa has the youngest growing population, age 15 to 25 in the world.
Mm-hmm.
There's no other place in the world has more youth than Africa right now. And so you want to look at opportunities and growth. It's the global South where it is. And speaking of the global South, if you're not aware of BRICS, which BRICA, which stands for Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, those 5 founding countries. You want to look up BRICS because they've done some great things, and they've actually brought in 4 other countries from Africa to be part of what's going on with BRICS because they're coming together. And I love what's going on in Africa, and I see things like the growth, the people coming together, and things like the president for the Burkina Faso, Ibrahim Traoré, to be able to bring in Niger and Mali and form the Sahel region to say, you know what, we are one. We have one border. We breaking down the barriers that other people drew for us. We getting rid of that stuff. We got one passport. We're gonna get one army. We want one. We got our own currency that's backed by gold. Understand this here. Countries like France, their money is backed by gold, but there's no gold in France. All that gold came from Africa. There's no gold in France if it didn't come from Africa. But now, because of what they're doing in Africa, they are mining their own gold. They're doing their processing, their own gold. They're coming together to say, you know what, we're not shipping stuff away. We got to build our infrastructure. But understand this. The power to be know that they can't survive without Africa resources. The minerals, the cocoa, the coffee, the gold, the uranium, the platinum, you name it, it's in Africa. Africa do not need no other place to live and survive but Africa. And that's the only continent that can sustain itself without any influence. And speaking of that, they're doing so many great things in Africa. I'm just extremely proud of what's going on in the global South, because I tell people this, we have to come together as one. We cannot have 54 individual, I'll just say states, because somebody can come and just pick up one. But we come together as one, we're unstoppable. And then with the connection around the world, man, it's a whole nother process. But man, we could do so many great things. And I just see things going on where brothers are standing up, say no. And let me inform you all this. One brother I love is Julius, Malema. That brother, I love him. If you hadn't heard of Julius Malema, he's the president for the African American Freedom Fighter in South Africa. He ran to be the president.
Okay.
Yes, he ran to be the president for South Africa. And the best thing about this young man that I love about him, he was a young boy being like a youth being trained what Nelson Mandela was doing back in the day. He came up through the ranks. So he was 16 years old learning the ranks of what it took to be a leader. And when he got up to age, he said, you know what? Unfortunately, you guys have gotten too comfortable. We need this. We need things to happen for us as Black folks. And so he was saying this, that land, it's all stolen land. We want our land back, and we're not paying you. We're not paying you 1 cent for it. Your ancestors stole it. We just gonna take it back. It's just that simple. So, if you want to look at South Africa, what's going on there? A lot of great things. The diamond, just so many great things going on in Africa. And I just wish. Let me tell you this. Unfortunately, they have intentionally brainwashed us about Africa here from an African American perspective. Because if we knew that some cities were like New York City in Africa, we would go more, we would do more, we would invest more. Because I can tell you this from experience, is that I know someone had my own child. Let me just tell you, this is real. My own child, when she was in junior high, had the opportunity to go to Africa. But she fought me tooth and nail, and she didn't go because of the preconceived notions that was embedded in her mind and head about Africa. And I said, hey, that's where your ancestors are from. I mean, who would, in my mind, if I had an opportunity to go to Africa for about 3 weeks during the summer, and your daddy gonna pay for it, I'll count me in. But she said no. But I understood the mindset. But what I did, Ruben, I did inform her of this. I said, you know what? If you don't want to go to your own forefathers' homeland, I'm not going to pay for you to go to no one else. I never did, because I said this to myself: if you can't go to learn about your own people, I'm not going to pay for you to go to learn about someone else. And I never did pay for her to take another trip, because I believe in, even back then, no, you need to know your roots to understand who you are. And so, and that's why a lot of people now don't go to Africa, because they still think Africa. And speaking of that, let me tell you this: I've learned so much from Africa by watching Watermaya.
I was going to mention him. I
Yep.
Watermaya,
I learned so much. So Watermaya, if you see this, brother, I want you to know you're doing a fantastic job of sharing this information globally, and you know it. I just want you to know, keep doing what you're doing, and tell Miss Trudy I like her, but I love you, brother. And plus, you from Ghana, I'm from Ghana, so hey, we may need to see. We got to do these DNA tests. We could be cousins. You know what I'm saying?
And I guess when you go to Ghana, you could try to look him up. You know, I think he's very open to meeting with people, and especially with I don't think he interviewed some African Americans who might have been living in Ghana. He tries to really diversify in each country he's been to. He hasn't been to Chad yet, and you know, Chad is, like you said, Africa's 54 countries, and sometimes people speak of Africa as if it's one country. But when you look at West Africa versus East Africa, Northern Africa versus Southern Africa, there's a great diversity there. I mean, Central Africa, where I'm from, you look at Central African Republic and Chad and some Cameroon, man, that is a challenging part of Africa. So most people, if they're gonna go, it's one of the least places to go. But you go to Kenya, or maybe Zambia, or over into Ghana, which is understandable. But I like how you talk about Watermaya. He's trying to bring the positive aspects of Africa that have been falsely narrated, or has to be narrated by our own. You know, that's why I'm a staunch believer in Africans writing more and sharing their stories more. You can't complain about the stories of others if you just allow them to write, because they don't have the internal perspective of the continent that you do. So you have to put pen to paper, or shows like that TATT Talks, or what Amaya is doing, or, you know, posting the things that you want individuals to know.
Yes, and I'm glad you said that, because this is one I'm gonna give everybody a lesson. This is a lesson, is that I want everybody to get there, to go on Chat GPT or Google, whatever search engine, and just say, define the word white, and just look at the definition of the word white. Then I want you to do the same thing and put the word black, and you're going to see two total different contrasts. And what you will see is that once you read the word black, you can be assured that a black person did not write that about us. To do that assignment. Look at the word white and what it represents, and then look at the definition of the word black, and then understand, did a black person write that definition about us? And I can tell you that answer is absolutely not. So what you said, Ruben, about us writing the narrative, we don't write the narrative. We don't control the information. A typical example, BET, Black Entertainment Television, is not owned by black people. Robert Johnson sold that several years ago for several $1 billion. A lot of the stuff that's shown on BET would not be shown on other networks if it was their people. And BET are owned by, I guess, the Jews or something. I don't know exactly who, but I bet you they won't show the same stuff. It was their people, the mess that they do. And that's a whole nother subject, dealing with just the music that have really grabbed our young population. Because if you listen to the lyrics, it's more degrading than anything else. And then you get to hear it, it just becomes your norm. Speaking of that, let me finish this, Ruben. This is something that you may not know about me, but I stopped using profanity when my daughter was born. and she's grown. So I don't use the N word, no profanity, no drinking, no drugs, never had a joint in my life. I was one of these cool guys that I don't need to be high to be cool. And so, because I said this, when my daughter was born, I said I didn't want her to learn or do anything negative from me. Now she could learn stuff from her mama. But that wasn't me. So I'm gonna say from me. Yeah. And one day I said the words, I think, damn, and they all got quiet because again, I learned we're so powerful, we just don't know it. But the words we use, no, man, we have to understand those words, and that's why you've never heard me use profanity. You've never seen me drink. I never had. I mean, I'm one of the few guys probably never have a joint in their entire life because I tell you, I grew up around that stuff, and I made a decision. I'm bigger than that because I saw the path that people took, and even today, I have no interest in it. And also, I tell people this here, and also I tell the young people, because I'm a grandfather today, I tell them, just don't think about your children. You got to think about your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren. I said, you have to start thinking generationally and not just your offspring. So, as a matter of fact, let me inform you this here. I informed my daughter to have my granddaughters to listen to this Zoom. I mean, to listen to this. Why? Because she is in the 7th grade, and I want her to know what her grandfather's doing. And so when we were doing business presentations, I had her signing in people at the door. I had her on the stage because I'm training her for those leadership roles because I know that she would get. And also proud of her. Her name is Callie. She won the NAACP award for her school last year.
Good job, Callie.
So
good job.
she is. Yeah. So she's doing things, and I teach her stuff. I'm old school. I teach her how to fix a toilet, how to paint a house, how to use a drill, how to do things. And I can brag to y'all all day. She can cook. I mean, she can cook. She can crack 20 eggs without a shell, man, and that'll happen. She can do French toast. I asked her the other day, do you know how to cook greens? She said, I do, Granddad. I said, I bet you don't know how to do homemade cornbread. I know you got the jiffy. No, I hadn't taught her that, but her mother has done a great job with us too. So, but it's about the next generation. And so that's how my mindset is. And I know time is ticking, and I'm looking here. We've been on this thing 52 minutes. Doesn't seem like it, but anyway.
It doesn't seem, yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of things we can talk about, man. It's just, but is anything, man, because I can talk about so many different things.
Yeah. And I think you bring a lot of that knowledge, as they say, old school or the older generation that has so much to share with the newer generation. So with the time we have left, what would be your I think you're definitely big into mentorship. What would be one or two key points that this newer generation should really grasp onto in order to be impactful around them, but also to build a sense of fortitude within them as they walk through this world? Because there's a lot of challenges that young people are facing. There's a lot of challenges that the communities that we come from are facing. And so how do we develop and raise the future generation in ways to shape the narrative, but also to hold on to things that they believe in?
You know what? I'm glad you brought that. Let me inform you all this. When I was an engineer at MCI, one day I wrote a rap song. So now I'm going to take off my corporate look and I'm going to go to my Cool Mo D. And this is a rap song I wrote.
So Cool Mo D. Let's go.
I wrote. And listen to it.
Okay.
There's a war going on, but you don't hear about it because the black middle class doesn't talk public about it. But we got to get the words out to the young brothers and sisters to be ready for the uphill battle. Bring your BS, your MS, your PhD, because you will need that and more to be free in corporate America. You will soon see games are being played every day. We don't have a chance to win in this race. Enculturation, the young teaching the old teaching the young to survive as one. We made over $400 billion last year. You see, money turned over less than one time in the black family. We need to stop this trend and reinvest within. I'm gonna take it back off. So now I'm back to the corporate look. So hey, Jim,
There
brother,
we go.
Jim.
There we go.
That's right.
Get them
Because the
snaps.
goal is this here. We
Yeah.
have to come together and we have to take these young men and ladies. And first of all, we got to take that negative music away from them. If you hear that all the time, it's hard to battle that. But let me tell you, that's by design. The harsh music being played and getting to play is designed to keep us distracted. Because if we degrade ourselves, if we don't care about each other, then your life doesn't mean anything to me because I don't care about me. But if I love you as a brother, then I need to treat you like a brother. But the music they play, and understand the people in power is in place to keep people of color down, globally speaking, because if we rise, the resources and everything they have will diminish. And let me tell you, the Western powers, their days are limited. It's numbered. And especially what's going on here with this political scene is numbered. The growth of the global South. But as far as with these young people, we got to get rid of the music first. We got to educate them about technology. And now with AI, and I'm going to talk about that briefly to bring in, you got to embrace technology and AI. You can have a phone and start your own business these days. You don't need what people used to have back in the day. But start something. As a matter of fact, we started another podcast. It's called the SWAC Posse, and SWAC stands for Southwest Athletic Conference. And we got some other things that we talk about what's going on from our perspective. But also the goal there is to monetize it. And then also with the digital, I'll just say the digital training to learn about marketing. We have a program in place. So if anyone wants to know about our training program, it's like 44 modules. It's self-paced, where you can learn how to learn about digital marketing at your own pace, but also how you can potentially create another income stream, because all too often they don't teach us about what we need to know. And the public school systems across this country is not designed for us to excel. Because I can tell you this, growing up in public schools, I learned nothing about Africa. I knew nothing about how powerful and great and the land mass and how they intentionally drew the maps to make Africa smaller than what it is. I mean, just craziness. Like they got Iceland the same size of Africa, but you can put 5 Icelands inside of Africa and stuff
more.
like that. It's just crazy. Russia's smaller, but it's by design. And then also, I know we're getting close to the end. We're gonna have like 2 minutes left. But even you look at all of the African artifacts with the nose, they all chip away the nose. You know that nose, a black nose. That's why they chip everything. The whole face is intact, but the nose, they chip this piece here, they chip that there. Everything is because of civilization. We built medicine, we built the world. Again, we are the original. Now, let me say this in close. Understand, people. All people are from people of color. Let me say that. So when you see a white person, that's your brother and sister. Just over time, evolution and geography, things change. But their ancestral roots are from Africa. Everybody, Chinese, Japanese, you name it, their roots are from Africa. And African folks spanning the globe. And because of their environment, you have to change. If you're in a cold country and you don't get the sun, you're going to start getting pale. You're going to start needing a smaller nose because of the coldness. But if you're in Africa, you need a bigger nose because it's hot. You need to be able to, and because of this here, the melon to protect you from the sun and everything else. So I know we're going to wrap up. So Ruben, I'm going to just stop because I can talk from now on out, and I know we got less than a minute. So it's your show, man. I'm just glad to be here. Thank you. And then let me say this.
Finish it.
With Sidonia, I want to say thank her for having the mindset and the brain power to start and build the African think tank. So I know you and your team have done a great job. So I want to give you your accolades. I see you traveling the world, showing off. I'm a little jealous. I'm gonna tell you that right now. So I'm a little jealous. I see you got your own photo shoot and stuff.
Yeah.
So okay. I'm a little jealous. Okay. So I'm gonna leave it like that now. Now I'm done.
You're done. You're done. I bet she can be reaching out to you. No, she's doing some phenomenal stuff. I think the inspiration, I think, with the African think tank that comes from what Sidoni's doing and everybody else, because I observe everyone. I think we want to make sure there's a whole team, is
It
that do
is
well
true.
in where you're at. Right. And that's where the message of the African think tank is. And let's see, you're doing well in where you're at. I'm a country guy. I do well. I'm meeting more Africans who don't do the DFW life. They're not city folks. They're like, we are in the country. We want to live as much here as we do at home. So do where we're at. And if we're everywhere as Africans emerging and developing, then we represent our people in the spaces that we're in. And we try to represent them well and create those collaborations and friendships, and that's what Ubuntu is about. You know, that's solidifying of who we are. So again, I'm not getting into the last note. I'm going to give you the last 60 seconds, and then we're saying bye. What is it that you want to finish? Yeah.
I just want to thank everybody for tuning in to learn more about this sector, this section.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell everybody, learn more about Africa. Embrace your African brothers and sisters. And understand this. This is all by design. This is a playbook that's been played for 400 years. And if you continue to fall victim to it, it's your fault. It is what it is. Don't be a victim of something that's been in place for 400 years. Break the cycle. You be the change. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Again, appreciate everyone for tuning in. Again, thank you, Coach, for the last minute subbing in. And so we're going to give you, there you go. And the referee, we're going to give you a touchdown right there since football season.
How you like
Touchdown.
me now?
You know, we had all the calls, holding, pass
How you like me
interference. All right, scrimmage. So no, you look great, and thank you for everything you've done with the African think tank. You're doing the community, the mentorship. I really personally appreciate your friendship. And even when you don't hear from me, you reach out. And so people reach out to Coach Cavett. We're going to show this again. He'll put out his information. If you have any networking opportunities, any mentorship things you like to do, if you're looking for business support with him and his wife, please reach out to Coach. And if you're needing someone from the African-American community to be a bridge between the African community, African American community, Coach is a person to do it. And so again, thank you all, and we will catch you next week.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Coach. Ending stream.